Robert Tonner is a prolific creator of dolls, as well as a top fashion designer. Over the years his influence on both fashion dolls, and fashion itself, has been immense. As a designer, sculptor, and the man behind one of the world's most successful doll companies, Robert Tonner has long been in the public eye. His work has been memorably captured in the Retrospective, Tonner, 2 Decades of Fashion and Design, by Pat Henry. Robert Tonner's dolls are perennial collectors' favorites, covering many genres. They are often customized or adapted by their owners. Mel Odom once memorably commented on makeovers of his own creation, the Jean doll. As he said, "Whenever anyone asks me about repaints of my dolls, I try to be honest about it. As I look at the repaints, they are no longer Jean to me. They stop being my dream and become someone else's." Possibly a tactful condemnation by faint praise, and where the term OOAK, or one of a kind really does become UAK. The collector, Ryan Andersen, always remains true to the spirit of the Tonner dolls in his collection. They may have subtle embellishments, adjustments to hair and makeup, or redressed in lavish new gowns, often especially commissioned, but they always retain the beauty of the originals. You definitely will not find any UAK dolls in this collection. Sit back and enjoy a couture treat.
Okay, are you ready for this? Ooh.
Well, welcome everyone. Rachel Hoffman has asked me to do an update on my Tonner collection for her Better Together convention. So I hope you enjoy the dolls featured.
We're going behind the scenes to discover what's new in Ryan's collection. But first, let's go back to the ballroom, where we'll beam down a few of Ryan's highlights. Such anticipation. Here's an exciting glimpse of what's coming up. We're revisiting the incredible bespoke doll collection of Ryan Andersen. Since our last visit, this amazing collection has had some memorable additions. Ryan can't wait to show you how the collection has grown. Hey Ryan, which is your favorite new doll?
Hard to pick a favorite.
Well, it was unfair to ask. There are so many wonderful dolls to choose from. This is just a tantalizing peek at a few details. We'll find out more about the individual dolls, how they have been restyled and redressed, and sources of inspiration, as well as insiders' tips on where to go for the best in doll couture and styling. This entire collection is built on detail. Every single element of each and every doll has been carefully considered. It can, on occasion, take many months for the total look to come together, as Ryan works with an array of experts in doll couture and style. Always with a clear vision of the finished doll, and how she will fit into the collection as a whole. But first, let's just have a glimpse at some candid shots of work in progress for this video. As you'll see, it's not all glamour in the world of photography and styling. These fashion models do not arrive by stretch limo, complete with their entourage. Cardboard box delivery is much more likely. Luckily for us, Ryan styles and poses his dolls so beautifully that you need do little more than pop them in front of the camera. They almost photograph themselves. All they need is a bit of lighting, a check for stray specks or flyaway hairs, and then they are ready for their close-up. Much easier than working with live models, and you don't need to stop for lunch. Sit back and enjoy, while we explore this exciting glimpse at one collector's vision, and an astounding array of bespoke costumes and dolls.
Well, and this is the Ellowyne Divine Inspiration. She was a gift from Rachel Hoffman of the Virtual Doll Convention and the Turn of the Century Antiques in Denver, Colorado. She graciously sent her to me for the 2 videos I did for her last convention, which everyone seemed to enjoy. I'm new to Ellowyne, so I do really like the pastel combination of the gown, the floral decoration on the back, which goes with several things I already have. So she might become she is a new addition to my collection, but there might be more coming down the road. Thanks a lot.
Ellowyne Wilde is in the height of pink elegance, brought into even sharper focus with her silver spectacles. Her sequin-encrusted gown is topped with a flower-strewn, appliqué lace cape. Coming to join her is Nima, a new friend, in a toning outfit, a virtual doll convention exclusive, aptly named, Charmed I'm Sure. To celebrate, both dolls have been beautifully photographed by the very talented Ernesto Pedro Campos.
And next we have Perfect Rose Jac wearing a gown from Cindy from Red Silk Thread. She does a limited edition collection every year for the holidays, and this was a Christmas present for my brother. Cindy Friesen usually does a limited edition holiday collection, so this is from last year. There were two gowns that you could choose from. This is the one I selected. I wanted another pink gown for my collection, and I chose Perfect Rose Jac. I wanted the darker skin tone to set off the blush color of the gown, and her hair and makeup are original from the Tonner doll.
Here's a closer look at Perfect Rose Jac, to show how well her makeup works with the new gown. Ryan was tempted by this screenshot, from Cindy Friesen's 2021 Red Silk Thread Holiday Collection. The doll is part of Ryan's pink and peach theme, and here are the rest of the girls waiting to welcome Perfect Rose Jac. The gown is beautifully embellished, with lace appliqué overlay, there's elaborate satin ruching at the bust line. In the doll's hair, there's a refrain of the eye-catching jewel details. The gown is the perfect addition to Ryan's Say Bond collection from Lori Lyon. He had 4 looks from that release and wanted a 5th to create an odd number. As we all know, odd numbers are better than even numbers for any collection.
This was a birthday present from my brother. It's a one-of-a-kind gown designed by Nigel Chia. He does beautiful beadwork, and if you remember from my first video with Rachel, I have color groupings, so this is part of the purple transitioning into pink because of the flowers. I selected this doll because I loved her sort of like short, wild hair to balance the fullness of the skirt. It is a exclusive from Angelic Dreams. Angel, who has gone just a little to the bad side. I do love the beading all the way around, so she was a perfect addition to the purple collection.
The fabulously talented Nigel Chia, at work in his atelier. The fashion designer, doll artist and photographer, is based in Malaysia, and is the man behind the Demuse doll. As well as creating beautifully crafted doll couture since 2012, Nigel Chia has his own fashion label for women's wear. This particular gown is in lilac, with beaded iridescent floral accents, and additional sparkle supplied by the narrow golden belt. Ryan found the perfect doll in Tonner's Angelic Dreams, Aurora Angel, from 2007. He loves the Shauna, or Queen of Hearts sculpt. Her hair and face paint are original from the factory. Although, ever the perfectionist, Ryan is considering whether to have her lip color lightened. Notice how the fullness of her hair, just touching her shoulders, balances the full skirt of the gown.
This is Ready to Wear Satin Sydney, a Tonner doll that came in a little teddy outfit, and the gown I won at our doll club meeting. It is Party of the Season, early Tonner, not like 1990, 1999. I always really liked the seafoam green and the gold. I won the doll as well, but I thought her hair, she had a top braid, and I thought it was a little housefrau for the outfit. So that's why we changed her to Sydney, and she obviously goes into my green and gold color grouping.
And here is Ryan's green and gold color grouping, waiting to welcome Tonner's 2004 Satin Sydney fashion doll, wearing the 1999 Party of the Season ensemble. The insets show the doll as originally produced, as well as the Party of the Season Tyler doll, complete with that housefrau hairdo. There were no changes to either Sydney or the gown. Just a little reimagining, and the application of some of Ryan's magic. The Sydney fashion doll was a Brass Horse exclusive, limited edition.
So these two are they are my only Halloween set of dolls. This is Hal Jordan, or the Green Lanterns from Tonner's superhero collection. I had his hair rerouted by Lori Lynn's, and he is wearing part of a Halloween convention outfit from 2011 from Tonner. I wasn't able to find the fur collar for his his outfit, but it was the beast within was the outfit. So I thought he looked like the perfect lord of the manor. To Tonner's black and white ball, Daphne Dimples. She was restyled by Melanie Kiefer, who used to work for Tonner. And this is another Cindy Friesen outfit. She also does occasionally like a little pret-a-porter collection where you can buy separates. So there's a little shrug, there's the bustier top, and there's a skirt. She also does shoes. I don't know if you can see those. So you could build your own wardrobe. There was a short skirt, there was a different top. But I figured this looked the best as they were exploring their new haunted house.
This Halloween Lord and Lady is a departure for Ryan, as he never does themed dolls. But in 2013, he was inspired by a red silk threads collection, Black Widow, limited edition separates with a Victorian flair. The chosen doll is Tonner's black and white ball, Daphne Dimples, from 2004, restyled by Melanie Kiefer. She wears a Black Widow shrug, corset top, skirt, and shoes. Cindy made the headpiece as a special favor to Ryan. Clearly, the lady of the manor needed a mysterious lord. Ryan found Tonner's Hal Jordan, as Green Lantern, on eBay for a great price. Unfortunately his hair was a hot mess, so Lori Lenz of Angel Doll Studio rerouted him to channel Fabio Lansoni. Hal is wearing part of a 2011 Halloween outfit, The Beast Within, from Tonner's Halloween convention. Yeah, totally rocking those leather pants. Presenting Lord and Lady Sedgwick, of Hawks Hill Manor. Here's a closer look at the dolls on display in Ryan's lobby, all set for a fabulous Halloween party. Trick or treat, anyone?
And I'm sure you remember from my original video, I'm mad about Gone with the Wind. I have every 16-inch Tonner that he made with Scarlett O'Hara. And they're displayed in the order that she wore them in the movie. So we start down here with the white dress at the very beginning. And then it's Scarlett's wedding, the dress Melanie was wearing at the wedding. Then she's a widow, Charles Hamilton, that's her widow's weeds, if you will. And then over here, these are two costumes that Walter Plunkett designed and didn't use in the movie. But if you've read the book, they're referenced when Scarlett goes to Savannah with her mother. So this one here is the red dress she wears when Ashley comes back for Christmas and she gives him the sash, the yellow sash. And then here's her green Christmas dress. So now this is the war. So this is one of the gowns she wore during the war. I'm having made the one outfit that she wears at the beginning of the war, where it has the pink top, the white apron, and the blue and white skirt with the burgundy velvet band. That is on its way. So she'll slide back, and then that one will go here. This is the red dress. Again, you only see the red dress from this much in the movie. She wears it after she comes back and she's married Frank Kennedy and devastates Sue Ellen. So this is the lumber mill dress she's wearing when she's discussing the convict labor with Frank and Ashley. And then this is her shantytown dress where she's in the carriage and is attacked and Big Sam comes to her rescue and she sends him back to Tara. So then this is a sewing circle dress where Melanie is reading Charles Dickens and Frank is killed when they raid Shantytown. And then she is waiting for her dress. She's been styled and ready to go. She's going to be wearing the widow's dress that she wears when Rhett proposes. And then now she's married to Rhett. And this is the honeymoon outfit where she gives, Rhett gets the red petticoat for Mammy. And then this is the lovebird gown, which we touched on briefly. They're in the restaurant in New Orleans and she's eating dessert. So this one is one that Tonner didn't make. And it was always a grail gown for me to find just because of the birds They were so stunning. And I found somebody who actually produced this, and he handmade all the birds. So he used air dry clay and then leather wings and hand painted everything. What I loved was the detail of the shoulders, the 3-dimension of the birds, and the necklace is a reproduction by facets of the necklace that she wore. And this is another lost costume that Walter Plunkett did when they were on their honeymoon in New Orleans, but they never used in the movie. So Tonner got access to those sketches in his license with Gone with the Wind and Turner Classics. So that was these 2 gowns, this one up here. And then we jump up top, and this is the gown she's wearing when they go back to Tara. And Rhett says that she can redo it to its former glory. These are really hard to find if you're looking on eBay. And then there's the Peachtree Stroll, where they're pushing Bonnie Blue down the street with Rhett. And then this is another really hard one. It's really expensive. Like, I've seen this go for $1,700 on eBay. She's wearing that when she is talking to Ashley in the mill, and they're spied upon. Everyone thinks they're having an affair, which they're technically not. And there's the green velvet robe that she wears when she's getting ready for Ashley's birthday party after she's had the encounter. And there's her red velvet dress that Rhett picks out to throw her to the wolves when he leaves her at the door. And then we have the blue portrait gown, which you never see actually in the movie. It's just the portrait in Rhett's library above the fireplace. So that's the gown with her little pearl headdress. And then this is the dress she wears with a robe, actually, it's not a dress, but when Rhett carries her upstairs, wink, wink, and she gets pregnant. And then in between here, there's the break. Rhett and Bonnie are in London. He doesn't know she's pregnant, and this is the paisley robe that she's wearing when they come back, and she falls down the stairs and loses the baby. This Tonner did not make. So the guy who in the Philippines who made the lovebird dress created the paisley robe. And this is the blue velvet robe she's wearing when Bonnie gets on the pony and tries to jump the rail and falls and breaks her neck. And again, you don't see this maybe like that much because she's sitting down recovering from the miscarriage she had. And then this is her widow's gown that she's wearing when Melanie dies. So she's there, Melanie passes away, and she comes out and hugs Ashley, and Rhett leaves and goes home. She goes running through the fog, which again, if you've paid attention in the book, she has these dreams where she's running through the mist. She doesn't know what she's looking for. She's obviously looking for Rhett, because at the end she's running through the fog, and he tells her, frankly, he doesn't give a damn. And then this was the last scene in the movie, which they did not use in the finished product. So this is the return to Tara. She's standing in front of the split rail fence that they have on the property, and it just kind of cuts to the sunset and fades away. But that was cut out of the movie. And I'm working on trying to recreate that in the 22-inch American Model doll. So this is his sculpt of Scarlett as portrait Scarlett in the blue velvet dress, and she has become Vivien wearing her mother's, Miss Ellen's, wedding dress when she marries Charles Hamilton. Her hair was restyled by Bobby Taylor of Pink Bubble Salon in the original styling of Vivien in the movie. This is the Franklin Mint version of the wedding gown. I love the candlelight satin. I think it had a more vintage feel than the Tonner original. So she has become Vivien Scarlett's first bride.
Tonner's 2014 portrait Scarlett, as restyled by Bobby Taylor of Pink Bubble Spa, becomes a Civil War bride. She wears a gown recreated by Franklin Mint in 1996, of her mother's wedding gown, in cream satin. Scarlett begins the story unmarried, but with many beaux in the county. However, as a result of Ashley Wilkes' rejection, she marries Charles Hamilton, who dies before the birth of their son. So tragically young to become a widow. Robert Tonner also created a Scarlett O'Hara sculpt for the 22-inch American model. Here is his portrait Scarlett, as restyled by Bobby Taylor, of Pink Bubble Spa. Bobby recreated Scarlett's hairstyle for her hasty wedding to Charles Hamilton. The gown is from the Franklin Mint's Golden Standard, 22-inch porcelain Scarlett collection. A faithful copy of Walter Plunkett's beautiful costume, in ivory satin. The gloves are from the daughter who sews, sold on eBay. Ryan created, and handmade, the jewelry himself.
And this is a little bit of a departure for me. This is a gown that Walter Plunkett designed, who did all of the costumes in Gone with the Wind. But he designed this for Vivien to wear to the Atlanta premiere of the movie. It is black velvet, it had ermined cap sleeves, so this is Vivien as Vivien in 1939. Bobby from Pink Bubble Salon styled her hair as Vivien originally wore it. This is created by Johnel Nazareth of Dollnotic Couture. He also created the little handbag in the 1930s style. And beautiful job on Vivien's hair. If you look at pictures of her on the internet, this is a great reproduction of both her look on the gown and her hairstyle. So, Vivien Scarlett becomes modern day.
Gala days in Dixie. Streamlined Wings of the Wind bring Hollywood to Atlanta for a history-making world premiere of the motion picture epic Gone with the Wind. Southern hospitality's at fever pitch as distinguished visitors arrive, headed by producer David Selznick and screen stars Olivia de Havilland and Vivien Leigh. Yes, it's the Clark Gables, just in from the coast. Charming Carole Lombard and friend husband get a mighty welcome. After dark, all Atlanta turns out for the big parade that starts 3 exciting days of celebration. The flower of the South assembles at the Junior League Ball, social highlight of the festivities. Glamorous Vivien Leigh takes a bow as heroine Scarlett O'Hara and wins Atlanta's heart. Clark Gables shares the ovation as the dangerous and daring hero Rhett Butler.
Here's yet another stunning transformation of Tonner's portrait Scarlett. Once again, Bobby Taylor has performed his hairstyling magic to create the likeness of Vivien Leigh, as she appeared at the Atlanta premiere of Gone with the Wind, on December 15, 1939. The gown she wore for the event was designed by Walter Plunkett, the movie's famous costumier. Here it has been faithfully recreated in miniature by Johnel Nazareth, of Dollnotic. Frankly, my dear, we really do give a damn. For the Atlanta premiere of Gone with the Wind, the beautiful Vivien Leigh wore a black velvet gown, accented with ermine cap sleeves, designed for her by Walter Plunkett. Here is Tonner's portrait Scarlett, with hair restyled by Bobby Taylor, in the exact style Vivien wore her hair that evening. Johnel Nazareth of Dollnotic recreated her wonderful black velvet gown, handbag, and stole, with great care and attention to detail. The jewelry is by Facets.
And this outfit was briefly featured in the original video with Rachel. She was sitting down, so I thought you might want to see the whole thing. This is Tonner's Basic Mary, restyled by Lori Linz, and she's wearing a Franklin Mint Gibson Girl gown called Boudoir. So here she is contemplating her wardrobe choice. I loved the way she styled her hair and added the flowers as she's ready to just make her final wardrobe selection in her kimono style lingerie. So, getting ready for the evening out on town.
Lori Lenz, of Angel Doll Studio, restyled Tonner's Basic Mary American Model doll. She wears Franklin Mint's Gibson Girl Boudoir Ensemble, from 1989. This kimono-style outfit was bang on trend, and perfect for a lady's private rooms. As she gets ready for the Vanderbilt's fabulous New Year's Eve party, who knows what the new year will bring.
This is the first, actually, sculpt that Tonner did for the new American Model face. It was Garden Walk which this was the face that started it all for me. So her hair is original condition. She is wearing the Franklin Mint Gibson Girl Margaret presentation to the Queen. And I thought how appropriate that she would be wearing this rather voluminous dress. Her hair is original Cindy from red silk thread, added a little hairpiece for me. And her jewelry and gown are the original design from the Franklin Mint. So she is obviously displayed by herself because her gown is so big. But it's the jacquard with the knitting over the top. So I just love her.
The doll that converted Ryan to Robert Tonner's American Model Dolls, Garden Walk. This doll is wearing a Franklin Mint gown from 1983, Gibson Girl's presentation to the Queen. Every inch the American heiress, will she marry a British aristocrat, keen to claim her family fortune? Might she even be heading off to Downton Abbey? Stay tuned. Robert Tonner created only 3 dolls using the stunningly beautiful Mary sculpt, before closing his company. Garden Walk, with auburn hair, the raven-haired basic Mary, and Belle Dame, a blonde-haired doll. Here's a closer look at Garden Walk, with the original factory face paint and hairstyle. She wears Franklin Mint's 1983 Gibson Girl outfit, Margaret, presentation to the Queen. The way she holds the skirt suggests a curtsy. But the sheer volume of the gown makes this a standalone doll. The jewelry came with the gown, and the headpiece was created by red silk thread.
Surprise, another Garden Walk Mary. Just love this face sculpt. This is Tonner's Savannah gown, which I thought had kind of a reminiscent, updated Southern Belle look. I did think it was a little bit too off the shoulders, so she came with this super, super long shawl. And Lori Lyon of Maddie Rose Couture made this little shrug for me. I found an image online and I sent her the picture and the shawl, and she created this little shrug. I can't decide if I should have her restyled in more of kind of a 50s vibe hairdo, so until I make up my mind, this is how she's gonna look. But again, sumptuous fabrics by Tonner, beautiful detailing. So she was a perfect addition when I found the outfit on eBay.
Robert Tonner's 2015 Garden Walk doll makes another appearance, this time in Tonner's Savannah gown, from 2005. Ryan wanted a more modest look than the major off-the-shoulder mood, previously on display. So he commissioned Lori Lyon, of MR Couture, to create a custom bolero jacket. This dreamy cover-up was made using fabric from the original lavish shawl. A confection of perfection. There was plenty of fabric left over after the shrug was made, so Ryan still has a long shawl, should he decide to switch it up. The doll face and hair are factory original, Ryan added the flowers. The jewelry was an eBay find.
Here's another Tonner outfit from his American Model collection that I just loved, La Belle Grande. His original American Model faces I thought were a little childish, that's why I didn't buy them when they initially came out, but again, after Mary, Garden Walk, I found this online and snapped it up. It reminds me of Keira Knightley's movie Anna Karenina, kind of a Christian Dior, Russian vibe. I did have the bustier made by Lori Lyon just to fill in her decolletage, because she came with a long beaded necklace that filled this in, but unfortunately when I got the outfit it was broken. So I took the beads and restrung them into her little necklace. And so yeah, she's an updated Anna Karenina Couture.
Here's the inspiration for this ensemble. A stunning example of evening wear, from Christian Dior, the Fall 2007 Couture collection. It's astonishing how well this lavish outfit has been recreated in doll size. The puffball skirt, the tightly tailored jacket, even down to the embellishments, all this in addition to working with a notoriously difficult fabric. It really is catwalk perfection. The ever-present Garden Walk doll has been reimagined once more, this time wearing the ensemble, La Belle Grande. The cleavage department was toned down with the addition of a beaded bustier, commissioned by Ryan especially for this doll, from Lori Lyon of MR Couture. Inspirations were Keira Knightley and Anna Karenina, by way of Christian Dior. La Belle Grande, indeed. The outfit originally had a layered beaded necklace that filled in the neckline. However, it was broken when the gown arrived. Thanks eBay. So Ryan got in touch with Lori Lyon, who saved the day by creating a bustier, in a slightly darker color. She hand-beaded the front, and Ryan remade a necklace from the original beads.
This is Belle. She was the banquet dinner centerpiece at Robert Tonner's 25th anniversary convention, which turned out to be his last convention, but it was a wonderful time, and she was actually the third American model that I had. So she has a special place in my heart for the memories associated with the convention and all the wonderful people I met. Originally she had her little bird cage was her headpiece, but I thought she'd rather have her bird in her hand as she strolls the palace gardens. The headpiece was designed by Peggy Felrope, and the fan is Karen Miller Castro. Both of them are available on eBay. I don't know if they're still currently working, but you could check their work out there.
Belle was the last 22-inch American model produced by Robert Tonner, using the Mary sculpt. She was the banquet centerpiece doll for Tonner's 25th anniversary convention, in 2016. Ryan was lucky enough to win the chance to purchase her that night. She is a vision in a pale green, gold and ivory lace-inspired Louis XVI gown. She has her original hairstyle, face paint and jewelry. Ryan added a chain to the birdcage headdress, so she could, instead, carry her beloved bird while on a stroll. The talented Peggy Feltrope created a new headdress. She made several different styles, and this was Ryan's favorite. The fan was created especially for the doll by Karen Miller Castro. Belle is a standalone doll in Ryan's collection, along with Garden Walk, as they are the two dress dolls with the Mary sculpt.
And this lovely little piece of confection was inspired by the first season of Bridgerton. Johnel Nazareth of Dollnotic Couture loved it as much as I did, and I merely mentioned, oh, it'd be great to have a gown inspired by that. 2 days later, he sent me a picture of the bodice completely done. Maybe he figured out the skirt later, but it's a beautiful candlelight satin with the silver and white lace, applied flowers. He was able to create these very fine knit gloves with the actual finger spaces, which I thought was, again, a phenomenal detail. He's constantly challenging himself. So he has a zipper going through the bow, and then he has little pearl details to finish it off, so you don't have to worry about tying and untying it if I was ever to change the gown, but I won't. Bobby Taylor from Pink Bubble Salon styled her hair, which again I thought was just beautifully intricate and very period appropriate, adding the cream color ribbon. And the Regency style jewelry I found on eBay. So she's one of my favorites. Like, they're all my favorites, but she's a new favorite.
Basic Mary becomes a Bridgerton beauty. Ryan merely mentioned to Johnel, of Dollnotic, about creating a gown inspired by the successful Shonda Rhimes TV series. About a week later, Ryan received a teaser image on his phone, showing the gown in the works. It was created using heavy, cream color satin, and silver lace. The applied flowers, created by hand, are another example of Johnel's talent. The hair was designed and styled by Bobby Taylor. The necklace was a flea market find.
Here is Basic Mary as Eliza Doolitle in her ascot gown. I've discovered, working with Johnel, that you need to be really careful when you mention, ooh, I like something, because then he takes it as a challenge. So he created the gown, he totally made the parasol from scratch, became a master milliner with this hat. So I think it's just amazing, the detail work that he comes up with. He has her little cap that she wore underneath it if you study the pictures. He's got the flowers, the straw detailing here, the feather cap, and I think she just turned out amazing. Will this inspire more movie-inspired gowns? Stay tuned.
Good gracious, I thought this was a video about dolls. Have we stumbled into Hunk of the Week instead? Ah, I see, this is Tonner's 2015 Basic Mary wearing the famous black and white ascot gown from My Fair Lady, designed by Cecil Beaton, who won 2 Oscars for the film's set design as well as the iconic costumes. Basic Mary was restyled by Bobby Taylor. She wears a meticulous recreation of the movie's signature gown, by Johnel Nazareth. Every detail is perfection. From the masterfully executed hat, to the parasol. Another of Ryan's favorites.
That is everything that's been updated in my collection so far, but you never know what's coming down the road. I'm thinking about more Hollywood gown ideas. Of course, the Gilded Age is another wonderful topic to cover. And I've been toying with the idea of Cleopatra, Helen of Troy, Olivia Drusilla. You know, the possibilities are endless, so stay tuned for future updates should there be a demand. So I hope you enjoyed your convention with Rachel and all the wonderful things she has to offer.
Grand March. Governors of neighboring states and notables from all the nations see Atlanta's elite and Hollywood's elect revive the grace and gallantry of the Old South. Climax. A replica of 12 Oaks O'Hara home takes the spotlight as 2,000 privileged guests attend the actual premiere. Atlanta's few remaining boys in gray are guests of honor. Diminutive Margaret Mitchell, the author, who rarely appears in public, attends to see her brainchild and is excited beyond words. It's certainly a night of nights for Miss Leigh, the English girl who captured Dixie. They just can't get enough of the Gables, and Clark is his usual modest self.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I am here just as a spectator. I want to see Gone with the Wind the same as you do. And this is Margaret Mitchell's night and the people of Atlanta's night. Allow me, please, to see Gone with the Wind as a spectator. Thank you.
Not on the program. A youthful gatecrasher shakes hands with the one and only Rhett Butler and gets the thrill of a lifetime. Gone with the Wind writes history, a new chapter in film triumphs.